on the following items at the regular council meeting on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026, in council chambers, Sparta Township Municipal Building, 65 Main Street, Sparta, New Jersey. The regular meeting is now opened at 7:23 p.m. All council meetings are now live streamed and can be viewed at the following link, youtube.com/@Sparta TWP/streams. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 7th, 2026, by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of the notice. Madam Clerk, welcome back. It's nice to have you.
Thank you.
And may I please have a roll call?
Councilman Scott.
Here.
Councilman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Clark.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sylvester.
Here.
Mayor Blumetti.
Here. Would you please all rise and join me in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For anyone who's attended or viewed our council meetings this year, you know that I began each meeting with a few words to level set us, emphasizing the fact that we are part of one small community and we value civility. I do know that it resonates with many. So tonight, just a reminder to strive to be a role model for decorum and acting respectfully to one another. Everyone here deserves that. Thank you. So first on our agenda tonight, we have a special presentation. Is Mr. Medina here? Come on up. Let's see if we can give a microphone. Mr. Medina is representing Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, from Northern New Jersey. Would you like this microphone, sir, or that one behind you?
Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Pedro Medina, and I'm a program specialist for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Before I begin, I just want to thank the mayor, all council members, Chief McCarrick, Lieutenant Antonello, and the entire Sparta Police Department for giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you. I'm going to speak a little bit about what we do in MAD, okay? My role as a specialist is to educate and bring awareness to fourth and fifth graders, middle schools, high schools, as well as parents as to the dangers and consequences of impaired driving and underage substance use. Let me give you a brief history on MAD. MAD was founded in 1980 by a lady by the name of Candace Leitner in California, who lost a 13-year-old daughter to a drunk driver. Prior to that offense, the driver had been convicted of 4 DWIs, and he was still on the road. So he was charged with vehicular manslaughter and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, 2.5 years for killing a 13-year-old. And of course, as fate would have it, I'm getting stuck in here. As fate would have it, he did not serve all 2.5 years, of course. And he was found, as soon as he got out of prison, he was found in another city in California, driving drunk and hitting another lady. Thank you. So upon learning all this, the mother of the 13-year-old got together with other mothers and decided to go to Congress to ask for stricter and harsher laws on DWI offenders. And they were very successful because in 1984, then President Reagan passed the MLDA law, minimum legal drinking age of 21. Originally, it was 18 years old. So when she started this organization, she had a vision. And that vision was to have no more victims in the future. And the way that we carry on that vision is by concentrating on 3 areas. And drunk and drug driving, support the victims and their families of these horrific crashes, and of course, I'm sorry for a minute. Support the victims of support the victims and their families of these horrific crashes, and prevent underage drinking and drug use. I just want to say that, you know, if you or anyone here has has been impacted, or anyone that you know of, has been impacted by a drunk driving crash, we're here to support you. Okay, we have a victim services unit that does that. We gather, you go to court, if they have to go to court, we accompany them. We also give them some resources. If they have a grief, we give them resources for that. So we carry them and we give them all the support that we can, all right? The other thing is that what I do is I go to schools, okay? So if anyone is a member of the school board, or I would love to come to the schools here, the school district, and present the presentation. As a matter of fact, I brought the presentations that we have here. I'll leave them here for you to look at. As I said before, we have a Power of Me presentation, which is for the 4th and 5th graders. Then we have a Power of the Youth, which is for middle schools and high schools. And we have a promposal as well for those that are attending the prom. And that contains a great activity, which is they get to try out the goggles and then make them feel how it is to be impaired. And we also have a Power of Parents presentation for the parents. This is a great presentation. It gives the parents, it tells them all the misperceptions that they have about impaired driving or drug use as well. Let's see what else I can tell you here. We do have I forgot to tell you, we do have a 24/7 hotline for anybody who has been impaired by drunk driving crash, okay, or an impaired driving crash. And the number is 177-MAD-HELP. That's 877-623-34735. And all of our presentations, including the victim services units, are all free of charge. There's no charge whatsoever. Now, I came here for a very important presentation, and that's to present the Certificate of Excellence to Patrolman Paul Wenzel. Okay. It is my honor to recognize Patrolman Paul Wenzel for his outstanding dedication and commitment to keeping our roads and communities safe. Through his efforts to deter impaired driving, he has helped prevent tragedies and protect lives. His professionalism, vigilance, and commitment to public safety represent the very best in law enforcement. So on behalf of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I am proud to present Patrolman Wenzel with this Certificate of Excellence Award for his recognition of his dedication to preventing impaired driving and making our roads safer. Patrolman Wenzel, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, sir.
And for the difference you make in our community, and congratulations on the very well-deserved recognition.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Yes, we appreciate it. And congratulations, Patrolman. Very proud of you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have a proclamation tonight. This is to honor the Sparta High School boys lacrosse team. So whereas the Sparta High School boys lacrosse team completed an extraordinary 2026 season through hard work, dedication, teamwork, and sportsmanship. And whereas on June 13th, 2026, the Spartans defeated Ocean City High School 9-5 at the College of New Jersey to capture the NJSIAA Group 2 state championship. And whereas this victory marks the first state championship in the history of the Sparta High School boys lacrosse program, a milestone for the school, its student athletes, coaches, alumni, and the Sparta community. And whereas the Spartans also won the North Jersey Group 2 sectional championship, avenging an earlier loss by defeating top-seeded West Morris Central High School 12-4 to earn their first sectional title. And whereas the team further demonstrated excellence by winning the Hunterdon Warren Sussex tournament, defeating Warren Hills High School in the championship game and cementing their place among New Jersey's premier lacrosse programs. And whereas this historic season reflects the commitment and leadership of the players, coaches, school administration, families, boosters, volunteers, and community supporters. And whereas the accomplishments of the 2026 Sparta High School boys lacrosse team have brought pride and recognition to the Township of Sparta and created a legacy that will inspire future Spartan athletes. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Township Council of the Township of Sparta recognize and congratulate the 2026 Sparta High School boys lacrosse team on winning the NJSIAA Group 2 State Championship, the first in program history. Be it further resolved that the Township Council extends its appreciation to the players, coaches, school administration, families, and supporters whose dedication and pursuit of excellence have brought honor to Sparta High School and the entire township. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations. Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations. What a big accomplishment. Great job, guys. Thank you. My name's Sean Peterson. I'm the head coach. Thank you to the mayor, the council. Just also a shout out to the police department. These guys got 2 great police escorts on their way back from the championship. And that was a dream of mine as an athlete. So it was really cool. So, you know, I think something to be said about these boys, and Mayor, you reflected on role models. We've worked really hard for these guys to be great role models. These are 2 of our captains here, and Nico, a rising junior, and they exemplify that in the school. The other thing I'll say is our team was probably the underdog, and that was really cool because it wasn't a lot of all-stars, and it was just a bunch of guys who all they wanted to do was work together and win. So thank you very much.
Mayor, we have the town hall columns lit white and blue in recognition of our lacrosse team.
No. Why, were you a coach?
What?
Were you a coach?
Congratulations, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you. What an accomplishment. It's incredible.
That is, really.
Okay, moving on to our minutes for tonight. May I have a motion to approve the March 24th, 2026 regular meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
A second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? Okay, motion carried. Moving on to our third item on the agenda tonight, the manager's report. So Town Manager Zepp, would you please present your manager's report?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and council members and all Sparta residents joining us in person or watching from home. Thank you for being with us tonight. In our recreation department, our summer programs are wrapping up over the next few weeks. As we finish the season, our staff is shifting focus to the fall programs brochure, which will be released in mid-August. Women's softball and men's mushball leagues are currently in full swing and continue to see strong participation. To celebrate the end of the season, the community is invited to the Summer Sidewalk Chalk Festival and Movie Night on Friday, August 28th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. at White Lake Fields. Families and residents can help decorate the walking path with artwork and encouraging messages, as well as enjoy a bubble cart activities. Food will be available for purchase from the Greek Kitchen and Brick and Brew food trucks. The featured movie for the evening will be Zootopia 2, beginning at approximately 8 p.m. with free popcorn. Attendees are encouraged to bring lawn chairs and enjoy the community night out. The parks maintenance staff remain active throughout the summer, working diligently to maintain all parks and township properties. Staff continue to support all ongoing sports programs and assist with preparations for the upcoming special events. From the Sussex County Health Department, the County Office of Mosquito Control has reported the detection of West Nile virus in mosquito populations within Sparta Township. Some of you may have noticed the county had set up a table earlier this month in the foyer with informational flyers about mosquitoes. The county surveillance program remains fully active, and mosquito control operations are being conducted in areas where virus activity can be detected. All residents are urged, regardless of their proximity to the detections, to take preventive measures, as avoiding mosquito bites is the most effective way to protect oneself from mosquito-borne disease. We encourage Sparta residents to visit our website under Health Corner for more information on how to take the necessary steps for prevention, as well as public notice for county truck-mounted spraying schedules. I believe they'll be spraying tomorrow. From our tax assessor's office, on Friday, July 31st, 2026, the tax assessor's office will be mailing Chapter 91 income and expense statement requests pursuant to New Jersey statute. These notices will be sent to commercial property owners of income-producing properties. The purpose of this annual request is to ensure the tax assessor has accurate and up-to-date information necessarily to fairly and correctly assess income-producing properties within the township. Members of the public who have any questions are encouraged to contact the tax assessor's office directly at 973-729-2626. Thank you for your attention and cooperation during this process. The Sparta Library shares with everyone. While you continue to enjoy your summer season, please keep in mind everything the library has to offer for residents of all ages. Please go to thespartalibrary.com to view their events, programs, resources, movies, and museum passes, homebound delivery services, student volunteering, and much, much more. A couple reminders from my last report. Friday, summer concert series at Dykstra Park. July 31st, featuring Billy Hector. August 7th, featuring Danelia Cotton. Sparta Council petitions must be filed by 4 p.m. promptly on Wednesday, August 19th, 2026, to be eligible for the November 3rd election. The next council meeting will be on August 25th. This concludes my report. To all the residents, please enjoy your remainder of your summer. I will now turn to Chief McCarrick for his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Zepp. Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council. I'd like to thank the Council for allowing Mr. Medina to speak tonight on behalf of MAD. It's important to talk about this, to let the public know what we do as officers, not only as enforcement, but prevention in our schools and awareness and education to our motorists of not to drive while intoxicated. The 12th annual Changing the Face of Addiction Walk will take place on August 1st, 2026 from 9 to 12 at the Franklin Fireman's Pavilion. That's this Saturday. For the past 12 years, that simple message brought thousands of people together in Sussex County for different reasons. To remember loved ones, celebrate recovery, support families, and to stand beside those who are still struggling. Sparta Township is a proud sponsor of this event through the opioid settlement funds. You can register at the centerforprevention.org for this walk. The police department is hosting its annual Junior Police Academy, open for students going into 5th through 8th grade. It takes place from August 4th through the 7th, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Recruits will experience the everyday life of a police officer recruit. They will experience and train in marching, defensive tactics, physical fitness, CPR, and AED use. They also have crime scene investigations, team building exercises, interviewing techniques, and team competitions. Recruits will experience demonstrations from accident crash reconstructionists, specialty canine demonstrations, bomb squad, and entry team units, and the New Jersey State Police Aviation Unit with a helicopter landing. Our friends from the Center for Prevention and Counseling will also come to speak about the dangers of vaping and other products that are illegal for juvenile consumption. Wrapping up the week, recruits will visit the Morris County Police Academy where they'll be able to observe actual police recruits in the academy. From there, they will also visit the Morris County Juvenile Detention Center and finally wrap up the week with a formal recruit graduation, which I invite all the council to. Last thing, I would like to make our residents aware from the Emergency Management Department. I would ask the residents to check out ready.gov. This website gives great information on how to prepare in areas such as flooding, wildfires, power outages, extreme weather incidents, and more. There's a lot of great information about family communication plans. And additionally, you could download the FEMA mobile app to get preparedness strategies and real-time weather and energy alerts. As you've seen over the past week, we've had some crazy weather in Sparta, this gives a lot of great information to the residents to prepare. If anybody's having any further questions, they could email me directly, jmccarrick@spartapd.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Town Manager Zep. May I have a motion to accept the manager's report as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right, motion carried. Next, moving on to our first open to the public segment. This is for items on the agenda. This is the first public segment period tonight. This includes resolutions. There will be a second public comment period a little bit later, and that's for items that are not on the agenda. So please state and spell your name for the record. And each speaker is limited to one comment of no more than 5 minutes. No yielding of time. Thank you.
Good evening. Jenny Derricks, Tap into Sparta. Mr. Zepp, congratulations on your retirement, but also on this great resolution that's on the agenda for swapping land. You won't have to hear from me anymore. To that item, though, I'm asking what is the timeline for this? Do we have an understanding of what the next steps will be, when those will commence? What is the process I understand this is probably the first step in the process of transferring the land, but what comes after this? And what is the timeline to get us to the actual closing? And then on Resolution 811 and 812, I don't know if congratulations to you, Roxanne, but in any way, congratulations to the interim position. What is again, same question, what are the next steps? What is the process for Phoenix Consulting Group? Is there an expected timeline? And what will the council's role be in that selection process? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. I know one question is going to come off your biweekly list. I mean, what are you going to do? Don't answer that.
Would you like, I had some people who can help with that resolution. Would you like, when we come up to that resolution, just answer her question and then?
Yeah, that would be okay. We'll answer, when we get to the resolution, we'll address that part then. For your, okay. And I will say for the resolution, that will be 8-9. If you don't mind, we'll defer that one. And then 812, so that's the resolution for Phoenix, the search firm. So once the resolution is passed, they'll jump into action. They have some draft ideas around requirements. They have their own templates. They'll be issuing a posting, a search. They'll start the search. It'll go on, from my understanding, is 30 days. Once those applicants submit their documentation, the search firm will then go and do their own filtering and interviewing as necessary and bring it down to a short list, which is typical. So 3 to 5, give or take. They'll use their professional judgment. Once they narrow it down to that, then it will come to the council, and the council will then interview those short list of candidates here, most likely in executive session, and proceed with that process to come to a conclusion on who the next town manager will be. The time frame will likely be that they'll wrap up around Labor Day with the search process in terms of the opening of the posting being done. And then we expect perhaps mid to late September, maybe early October, to get into the council interviewing of candidates. And, we look forward to finishing it up that month.
I had a few seconds left.
Okay.
do you have input in, does the council have input into what the parameters are for the job? Okay.
Yes, yeah, we've collected those already amongst ourselves, so we have our council list, and they'll match it to what they've done in the past with other township manager positions.
Good evening, Jen Rogoff. Welcome back, Roxanne. You were missed. Congratulations, Mr. Zepp. I am also speaking about closing of the landfill because I do have some questions about the land that's going to be used in exchange. So part of this is definitely relative to the agenda. The other part, maybe not so much. And I kind of want to address maybe Neil directly because he and I had a pretty good communication going when we talked about the Trails Committee and things about the level of transparency and no more surprises. But on July 7th, the Dykestridge team was out again on my property, resurveying the lot adjacent to my property, which is not the land to be conveyed in regards to the closing of the landfill. So there were no new flags placed on the additional lot that's not adjacent to my property. So they weren't out surveying, resurveying the land that is to be conveyed in exchange for closing the landfill, but they were resurveying and putting a second set of flags directly next to the original set of flags, which is what brought me to my very first town council meeting. So I am curious. The other thing is in the discussion that we had, even going back to, I have notes from the October 3rd, 2025 meeting for the Walk Hill Preserve conveyance information, they were talking about who would be in control of the land at the state level. And in what is listed here tonight, it does list several different organizations within the state. And so I am curious who will be specifically taking ownership and control and controlling what happens on these parcels that are in residential neighborhoods in Sparta. They are very far away from where the landfill is. And I understand that whole exchange and what has to happen. But I want to know, because I know that time and time again, we have heard from different members of the community, we don't want another Sparta Mountain situation. And that fell specifically under Green Acres, which falls under another. So I know that and I think other people would like to know which agencies will be controlling which of these parcels, because it's kind of grouped together and says in the wording here that it will be under one of three different organizations within the state level that will be taking control of this land. So I certainly am curious how that shakes out. I know you said there's going to be someone speaking specifically.
We can.
Cover the resolution.
Yeah, I think we'll do it when we get to the
But it's good
resolution.
we know what you're asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then rather than have me come back up later, but do we know why they were surveying again on the other parcel?
This is regarding the land exchange around the trails work that was discussed in the last 6-9 months and all that, right? That with the
Yeah.
the
'cause
first time you were here with the flags and all that.
Yeah, so I did speak to the attorney for the land trust. She actually was extremely responsive and wonderful. I had asked if there had been any further communication on their end. She said that the minutes from the March meeting hadn't been released yet because they didn't have a summer meeting, but she reassured me there was no conversation at the March meeting. They did not have a summer meeting, and they were not anticipating having a fall meeting. So that's why I was curious, like, why all of a sudden, if they're not even anticipating having any type of meeting in any of the months upcoming, why they were back out on the property on
Surveying,
July
fine-tuning or
7th.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so does anybody?
I will leave it up to Councilman Clark. If you want to get back offline and research, or if you have any comments tonight, it's up to you either way. We don't need to dig too deep tonight if you want to look into it, or we can as a township too. I don't
Yeah, I
know if you-
mean, my understanding is that it's going to be a while before the New Jersey Land Trust meets and approves the minutes that then would kick off, discussions. But I think that surveyors are simply acting under their statutory authority and under the proper notice procedures. I don't think we've heard anything here to change that conclusion. And so I think it's also part of due diligence. And I think that if residents and property owners are concerned, I think it probably is helpful to be as correct as you can when you're doing the surveying, right? You don't just want a guy to come once and you kind of eyeball it and then walk away. I think to make sure to address the concerns that you had, I think it's probably in your interest that it gets surveyed and gets surveyed properly. So
Yeah, I don't think that Mr. Dykstra's team was eyeballing, so I wouldn't say that. I mean, they came out and did a proper survey. They came out again, obviously, and put flags directly next to them. So I was just curious if there was any movement.
No, as far as my understanding is we can't get into a discussion with the New Jersey Land Trust until they've approved their minutes. But I think, as part of the due diligence, and that's the call by the professional surveyor. I think he probably had, given the concerns of the residents, they were concerned about, wait, are you giving away land that may belong to us, et cetera. It's probably in his interest to make sure his survey is correct. So that's probably why he surveyed again. I think that would be serving the interest of the community
Yeah, I mean,
to
I
do
think
that.
you and I mean, we had that open conversation that he came out in November, walked the property with the residents. That's why this seemed like out of the blue and, my favorite word, transparency, like a little heads up, rather than me being at work and hearing, I can't even tell you how many calls I got from people in the neighborhood say, they're back. So, if you were unaware, then perhaps someone from the council can reach out to Mr. Dykstra's team, and just simple transparency, just like, hey, we're going to be out there, would go a long way, rather than, bless you, rather than phone calls at work like, hey, they're there. Hey, did you know they were coming? I had no idea.
Okay.
So that would be appreciated.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Laura Newgard. I'm with Equal Sciences, and I thought I'd introduce myself because I'm the one who's been working on the Green Acres issue, and it sounds like there's some questions I know from the board and apparently from members of the audience, and I just want to let you know I'm here, and I would like to be able to, answer questions, discuss whatever confusion or not confusion there is, and I guess we'll do it when you do the resolution, but I just want to let you know I was here.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, my name is Jerry Murphy, Murphy. Roxanne, welcome back. And this is rather timely because my one question can be directed to Ms. Nygaard. And is, Mayor, are you going to treat all the resolutions like a consent agenda, or are you going to approve them one by one?
Half and half, probably. The ones that are bulked together, we'll announce, and if the council wants to break anyone out, we'll do that separately. But we also have a bunch at the end that we're going to do separately. So,
Because I had just a suggestion to you for 8-9. In it, Echo Sciences, Inc. is identified, but they don't have an address. And as a suggestion, I found it very helpful in the past to add their address as a clarification. And that's the only suggestion I have.
okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Ron Day, Sparta. Two resolutions I have questions on. The first one is 8-8, which is a wireless consultant. I didn't really understand, when I read through it, what that was for, what types of services. How much is that going to cost us? And is this something new, or is this a continuation from what exists today?
Any other questions, Ron? I want to.
Let me just, if you can give me a short answer, that'd
Yeah,
be great.
sure.
Then I'll move on to the next
Would you mind?
resolution.
Sure. The water utility has 14 water tanks, and the township owns one monopole. That's a whole lot of cellular vendors that would like to occupy that space. When I got here, I learned that there's a whole bunch of leases for the space to different carriers, Sprint, AT&T, and whatnot. And in my discussions with our new QPA, he had suggested that we utilize a consultant to maximize the lease returns on all that lease space on the water tanks and the monopole. So it made a lot of sense to me, keeping track of all the leases on all the cell towers, hiring a consultant who can go out and bundle it all for us and get us the best bang in the buck for leasing that space. It made a lot of sense to me. I explained that to the council. They agreed, and so we're taking the next step, passing a resolution, so then the QPA will go out and do an RFP for a consultant.
Any estimate of what this is going to cost per year, or?
I don't have an estimate, but I tell you what, I'll take it out of the lease money.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like what this is just basically someone to manage the existing towers, not to bring new towers on or could
No,
be.
there is discussion of new space as well. And then we end up coordinating with the utility director on whether we have the space, the additional space. But there is a pretty large market out there for cell tower space right now.
All right, so let me just, if I can make one last comment on this, is just, it sounds like there are things in place, and this person's going to help us manage. Given some of the budget constraints that we have this year, would it make sense to defer this to next year? It doesn't sound like it's like an emerging need that we really need to do today.
I can understand that concern, Ron. I think once we get the RFP results, we can make that decision then, whether we can afford it or not.
Okay.
But yes, the context of the budget would be well taken.
Okay, thank you. The second one is also on 8.9, which is a land donation. So looking at this, I had some similar questions in terms of what is all this is about. I probably should have talked to Jenny before I came in here. I think she probably gets it as well as anybody in here. But if I look at it, it sounds like that we need to remediate 3 acres, and we're going to give up about 70 acres to do that. So I'm not sure where that math comes from. That's a 27-to-1 swap, as well as, is it a donation? It's being called a donation, but it sounds like, what are we getting for it? We're giving up 69 acres in exchange for something. That's not a donation. A donation is a gift. It's more of a conveyance of land in exchange for that. So what is it we're getting? Are they just going to approve the ECP? Or what is it? So when you go over the presentation, could you really make that clear in terms of what it is that we're going to get in response to this? And then the last question, sounds like Jenny had similar questions, is, once we do this and we give up 70 acres, are we done? Do we have a high confidence that we're not going to have to, we're going to get there and say, oops, we found something. Now it's bigger than we thought. So what steps do we have in place to prevent that? So are we really ready to do this? So those would be my questions, if they can answer it when they do the presentation.
Those are good questions, Ron, and they'll be answered when that resolution comes up. But this is a 20-year venture, and all that will be answered, but
I'm coming in late, so I'm just,
all right,
just
and
trying to
fine.
understand it, that's all.
I'm hoping, I think we can answer everything there.
So with 40 seconds left, I just want to say congratulations on your retirement. And also, Roxanne, welcome back. It's great to have you back.
Thank you, Ron.
Good evening, Rick Finkel, 13 Hayward Road. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
I retired a year ago. It's wonderful. Enjoy it. I heard about the process of the Phoenix Group doing the executive search, but who is the Phoenix Group? I saw there was 2 bids. You went with the lowest bid, but what is their background in municipal government? And can someone just sort of fill in the gaps there?
I'll defer to one of my 2 or 3 colleagues who was in touch with them a little bit more, but they're a well-known and referred professional services firm that does this kind of work with other towns. I don't know if anyone.
Specifically for municipal government?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And they have
I've never heard of
done
it.
tons of searches, and I think that even some of their consultants have done this type of work and also are consulted with and have on their staff, I think, former town managers, et cetera, so.
Have they indicated what the pool of candidates looks like at this point?
Not, we won't know until the survey goes out. I mean, listen, it's a competitive market. I think you've seen that Randolph is looking, Denville's looking. So I think that, we'll see what we get when we get.
Okay,
But
thank you.
that process, I think, as Mayor Lumetti said, is probably takes like a month or so. And then they'd also, even one clarifying point, which is they'll recommend 5, but they're going to hang on to other resumes, right? And so if we see the 5 and we're like, we don't really like those 5, why don't you go back and take a look at some other resumes that you got? They can do that as well. But council did a very good job of, each council member had the opportunity to identify what they were looking for. And then all that information was collated and then given to Phoenix, and so that they know what each council member is looking for.
All right, super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jim.
Okay, seeing none, at this point, we will close this open comment section. Let's move on to, next is expenditures. We have two on for tonight, so Deputy Mayor, would you please move into our expenditures?
Yes, the bill list for July 14th, 2026 totaled $661,128.78. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, July 14th, 2026 are approved.
Okay, the bill list for July 28th, 2026 totaled $717,466.61. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
July 28th, 2026. Expenditures have been approved. We do not have any ordinance introductions tonight, nor do we have any ordinance hearings for tonight. So we're going to move on to resolutions. So we'll handle resolutions 8-1 to 8-7 together in bulk, and then carve out the others individually. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I may have a motion to approve resolutions 8-1 through 8-7 inclusive.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
May I ask you
Aye.
a question?
Yes.
Okay. Now that we've reached the midpoint of the year, Jim, do you have an idea of how much veterans tax cancellation has been this year?
A trick question, isn't it? I looked it up today. It was
195,000.
194,130.
Great. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Okay,
All right,
that's
I'm
okay.
ready to vote.
Any other questions? Okay. Okay, let's start the vote over again. All in favor of approving 8-1 to 8-7, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Okay. 8-1 through 8-7 have been approved. Okay, so now we're going to move on individually. Resolution 8-8, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Sparta authorizing the hiring of wireless telecommunications consultant for the Township of Sparta through the competitive contracting process. And again, this is what we just discussed earlier. This is regarding management of the vendors to maximize our return across the numerous contracts and spaces that we have in town. And again, this is for the search process to begin. We still would need to then make a decision if we're going to proceed when we have actual bids to consider. May I have a motion to approve 8-8?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second. I have a question.
Okay.
Okay. Jim, what we're talking about here is not the construction of new towers. We're talking about the utilization of existing water towers and other towers that we have in the town.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So any expenditure here is it's positive net present value to the town.
Yes, it will be.
Thank you.
Jim, you mentioned before that it's 14 tanks, one tower, that they would be looking, and then you expanded that to say they're looking for other areas as well.
Well, they are. I mean, we get calls all the time from carriers looking for areas to place their stuff. But right now, we just have our water tanks in the one monopole. There's still space on some of the tanks, at the guidance of the utility director on whether he wants to allow any more, cell tower stuff on the tanks itself. The problem is that they come on at different times, and our lease agreements are all staggered, and they're hard to keep track of, and there are different terms to them and different agreements, and town attorney is reading all various amounts. If we can consolidate it all, maximize it, it is a good market, though, that it's valuable space that the town has as a revenue generator.
But the primary scope's going to be that 14 and 1,
Yes,
the current existing
yes.
inventory that we have, right?
Yeah.
And then secondly, what type of transmission are you putting up there? What type of network? 5G network?
It's yeah, a lot of cellular work is what I'm reading. It may be a little beyond me, Mike, on what you're asking for.
And then the pros and cons from, a health and or safety hazard issue related to that near residential properties and the like. I mean, is that going to be something they would take into consideration?
They would. A lot of this is pre-existing. It's already there. I know on the Mill Creek Tower, we have a
There's
lot of our
5G,
radios.
there may be 5G on,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
those, in those areas
On the
already?
higher elevation areas that are popular.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that the safeguards are there if in fact they're in and around or very close to residential neighborhoods.
I believe
and
it's all
residential
pre-existing right now, and anything new would have to come in front of the council.
properties. Okay. All right, that's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
So just to reiterate for everyone, this is not, we're not charging, if we do find a vendor, we're not charging them to say, hey, let's build new towers, let's put up a lot of new things we don't have already. This is to maximize what's there already,
Right.
simplify it, and make sure, at the end of the day, we're making more out of this than we are today.
Correct.
Okay,
And it'll get paid out of the funds,
Yes.
out of the lease?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
And do we have the ability now to figure out what revenue we're obtaining as of now from the leasing of the water towers for the communication services?
We do, but it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing, to try and track it all and what the revenues are. It is fairly significant money, though, in the big picture of things. It's one of the revenue sources we have. It's in the budget. You see it as a revenue generation. So it's in our best interest to maximize the return on that.
So the scope of whoever does, the scope of the work that they will do will be, one, to identify what are we making now off the leasing, two, what could we make in the future if we, take the additional space that already exists and lease that, what revenue we'd garner from that. Is that understanding of what one of the
Yes, it
scope of
sounds
work?
correct. You'd be surprised how many carriers want to negotiate with the town attorney and I on the lease space. They love the long-term leases, the 99-year leases, where, you know what, you're really not getting the money. I mean, I don't know who they think they're negotiating with, but
And am I right, and maybe this is a question for Anand, before we can enter into a new lease agreement or free up additional space and lease that out, that's something that would come before council for approval?
yes.
Correct, correct.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We had discussion. All in favor of Resolution 8-8, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Okay, Resolution 8-8 has passed. Resolution 8-9, resolution of the Township of Sparta authorizing the donation of certain township lands pursuant to NJDEP file number 1918-04-0014.1. May I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so discussion time.
Yeah, I want to let the public know that we're very fortunate to have basically four key members, or the four lone members, who've been involved in this process up to this point. And I can't emphasize how much time and effort's gone into it. And that is our town attorney, Corey Stoner, is here. And Dash has helped me on the legal end. And above all is Laura Newgard, who works for EcoScience. She has been a workhorse on the long slog on getting 2.5 acres of wetland area in the landfill to allow us to mitigate it. The real short of it is that we tried to close our landfill. We were so close to getting it closed, 98% closed, capped and ready to go. We come across some water. The DEP says, whoa, 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 stop everything. Now you need to mitigate that 2.5 acres. By the way, Sparta, it's going to cost you $1 million. All right? We exhausted all our resources to try and mitigate other properties. We've tried to do this without spending $1 million. I mean, to close a landfill. This extends, how many administrations have I gone through since 2000? Many. And because I was running DPW, I was really close with this project, and that's why I know so much about it. And Laura's been in there with me for a very, very long time on this. Ron, I'm going to let Laura really kind of guide you on why there is that ratio of 15 to 1 and why you need so much parcel space to mitigate 2.5 acres. But this is a very, very good thing. Jenny knows about it because she's been asking, you listen to Jenny ask these questions and all. But you need to understand there's two sides to it. The first side is that the goal is to close the landfill. All right, we want to close that landfill, cut down on our expenses, cut down on the monitoring and all. The second part is that once it's closed, it becomes an asset for a solar field or other type of revenue generation. My goal has been all along to get the landfill closed, and I will turn this over to Laura. She heard a lot of your questions from Jen and Ron and all, and I think she can cover it better than I can, that's for sure.
And can I just jump in too? Thank you, Laura, for being here. I know you were a Sparta resident. I believe you probably are. So you're close to your heart and very involved in this, and from a really talented, background and firm. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, I am a Sparta resident, and I was also on the Sparta Environmental Commission for a long, long time. So I'm very familiar with Sparta, which is kind of how this all grew. And my name is Laura Newgard. I'm a senior vice president at Equal Sciences. And the reason I wanted to just bring it up is that my expertise is wetlands, wetland permitting, and threatened and endangered species. And all of that comes into play here. And then familiarity with Sparta itself, and we have such valuable land. So going back to what Jim's saying, I think it's really clear that you understand that there is no landfill closure and there is no redevelopment until you implement your wetland permit. We have the wetland permit. You had one back in 2010, but you didn't implement it because you never did your mitigation. And that was to create wetlands in Oxford Township in Warren County for wetlands that you're filling in Sparta. That seems kind of a no-brainer. Why would we do that for $1 million? And so we took a different approach when I got involved in 2021. And thanks to Jim having all the records and all the experience and knowing the history, we were able to pull it together, working with Corey as well. But we took a different approach and said, okay, what can we do besides this paying into a mitigation bank, building mitigation somewhere else? DEP has a hierarchy. And the hierarchy allows for preservation of land. Sparta has a lot of land in their portfolio. And a lot of that land you can't use. And that was what I focused on, because land that you can't use a lot of time is really, really valuable from an environmental standpoint. And that means clean water, endangered species habitat, proximity to already preserved land. So I went through the town records of all the available parcels and saw that we had multiple parcels that were going to be either in the watershed of the Paulins Kill, which is where the landfill closure was going to be, or in the Wallkill itself. And so we looked at those two areas and focused on those areas and identified several parcels, presented it to DEP as an option, was able to convince them that these were very high-value parcels, and they accepted that intent, sent us to the Mitigation Council. The Wetland Mitigation Council actually sent a representative out with me to walk all the parcels, and she was very happy with what we had chosen and made the recommendation that we could go this route for mitigation. To get to the 27 to 1, when you're mitigating for land that you are not creating wetlands on, there is values you have to meet. The choices are anywhere from 15 to 1 all the way up to 27 to 1. And the 15 to 1 would be if you were on extremely disturbed land. The 27 to 1 is if you're on very pristine land. So the landfill itself is a disturbance, but the wetland fill occurred in rank 5 forested wetlands. And rank 5 is New Jersey's method of identifying high-quality wetlands. And rank 5 just means that they provide potential habitat for federally threatened or endangered species. So we had to kind of find someplace in between that to come up with these parcels that would meet this mitigation requirement. And we weren't going for 15-1 because we weren't going to get it. We weren't going to get approval. So we went to the higher end. At one time, we were at 27-1. Unfortunately, the town of Sparta had already bought that really good property, and it was in your open space. But it didn't show up in my first review we didn't get it until the deed, so we had to modify it. And the parcels we chose are parcels that, and I don't want to turn my back on you guys because it's important. The parcels we chose are parcels that are going to provide protection of our water courses, protection of our water quality, protection of our open space, and mainly parcels that have no value to the town. So I'm going to go through it and also talk about why I think they're going to go to certain agencies. So there's 4 parcels.
Hey, Laura, would
Yes.
you mind using the microphone? You could pick that up if you want out of there. If you want
Oh, if I turn around,
Yeah,
sorry.
feel free.
I'm not going to turn around anymore, sorry. So you got to deal with it. I just want to make sure I'm talking about them correctly. So we have 4 parcels. The first one is within the Weldon Brook Wildlife Management Area. And just to give you an idea of where that is, if you're getting off of Route 15 at the Laddie Clark Building, the main entrance to the Wildlife Management Area is right there. There's trails, there's headwaters of the Wallkill, there's all kinds of endangered species habitat. And sitting in the middle of it is 18 acres of landlocked property. It has Route 15 right away on one side, and the rest of it is just the wildlife management area. There's no road access. There's trail access. I know it. I run it every day. But it's this nice piece of property, has the headwaters of 2 streams on it. It's not anywhere near residential areas. And it has no value to us, the town. You can't use it. So that was the first parcel we chose. And it was adjacent to already protected open space, which in the DEP's mind, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's mind, is what they're looking for, proximity to already preserved land. Parcel 1. The second parcel I'm going to talk about is Kittatinny State Park, or Kittatinny Valley State Park. There we have 19.91 acres of land that, and all of these maps the town has. So if anyone wants to see it, there's maps that show what the water courses are, what the wetlands are, the endangered species that might be located that, and then the proximity to open space. So in what I call the Kittatinny Valley State Park parcel is surrounded on 3 sides by Kittatinny Valley State Park. One side is open space that's part of a subdivision that had been done, and I did not write down the name of the road, and I'm really sorry. Excuse me? Is it Crownview? No, Crownview is another one. But the point is there is no, that open space parcel separates this piece from any residences. And when I say open space parcel, I mean it's 40 acres. And if you look at the town maps, or if you look at the state maps, they show that they already own this piece of property, and it's already part of the state park. So I thought, well, that works great. You own it 100%. And so that was our second parcel that we use. Same thing, high value, doesn't have a lot of wetlands, but has an amazing outcrop that you can just climb up there and see for miles. But there's no trails, there's no disturbance, so it's a really special piece of property. And again, no impact to residents, and you can't get to it. And then the next 2 parcels were actually brought to our attention by the Natural Lands Trust. I do a lot of volunteer work with them, and they kind of said, hey, we've got some pieces we would like in Sparta, so we went and looked at them. One of them is within what's called Wildcat Branch Natural Lands Trust. It's kind of a new property that they have been expanding on, and so they have just bought about, I think, 200 acres that straddles Hardiston and Sparta. It's located west of Wildcat Road. And then they also had a piece of property, we knew it as the Cofrancesco site. It was a big wetland that had been purchased by them years ago. And in the middle is this little piece owned by Sparta. Again, 3 sides surrounded by Natural Lands Trust properties. The 4th side is adjacent to undeveloped property and a very, very large wetland. Someone trying to access this piece would have a heck of a time getting a permit to get to it if they wanted to develop it. And if it's town property, I don't think you're going to build a road to this landlocked piece. The last one is the one that's closest to Crown View Court. And that is also a piece of property that sits, it actually goes from 517 right next to the lumber company, and it extends to the west and stops at two lots off of Crown View. That piece is a critical connection to the Wallkill Preserve for the Natural Lands Trust. Right now, they have 2 very, very rare endangered species habitats, and they're separated by this little sliver. And this allows them to have a connectivity between these areas along the Wallkill River. The Natural Land Trust, and I'm sure you have dealings with them or have had dealings with them on the trail issue, which this is not part of. The Natural Lands Trust manages land to preserve rare habitats, whether that's plants, animals, or ecosystems. They are an independent, they're part of DEP, but they're independent of DEP's normal regulations. They don't go out and clear cut. The only thing they might do is some selective thinning in the wetlands of invasive plants to maintain this habitat as high value. And so I don't think there would be anybody on Crown View would have an issue because I don't think anything's going to change. The key thing to remember here is this parcel is 100% wetlands and waters. You can't do anything with it. It's not developable. So that's where we chose these parcels. We've spent about 5 years on getting it to this point of applying to Green Acres. You got a permit, a wetland permit on July 21st of 2025. Those permits are good for 5 years. You can get an extension, but I think, you want to move along. But what I think everyone needs to not lose sight of is this permit is actually to address a violation that occurred in 2010. And that's when you started the landfill closure and accidentally filled wetlands. DEP has not forgotten. You're not going to get anywhere until you implement this newly approved permit, which can only be started when Green Acres accepts what we've presented to them. And this resolution is basically the last step in that process. We've submitted all the other information that they've requested, and this is what we need to get over the hurdle. If you don't implement your permit, you're going to have a violation that will continue. You will not be able to close your landfill, and there is no redevelopment. So this is the first step, and you need to complete this step to go through the other steps for whatever the future is on the property. I'm not involved with that. I'm only involved in the wetland end of things, the permit end of things, and the Green Acres things. So I think I touched on everybody's question, but if I didn't,
I can ask, I have 1 or 2 written down here, I think I heard. So you mentioned the Natural Land Trust. Are all 4 going to be managed by the Natural Land Trust?
The Natural Land Trust is what I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. But I can't speak for DEP. In fact, one of the reasons this has gone on so long is it's really hard to get DEP to move at all. But we assume that the Kittatinny Valley State Park is going to take from Green Acres, will get that piece that is encompassed by the state park. The Wildlife Management Unit, which is part of Fish and Wildlife, will get the piece that's inside the Weldon Brook Wildlife Management Area. And the Natural Lands Trust, because they've requested it and it's within their lands, will get those 2 parcels. I don't think there's anything that can change that, but I can't guarantee it.
Okay. In terms of, I know you can't speak to next steps timeline farther down the road about what we do once this is closed and how we use that land for solar fields or whatever. In terms of just next steps with the remediation and the closing of this, once the land is approved to be donated, what's the next steps for DEP to, I mean, we have a permit, what happens then?
As soon as DEP is just saying that the way it's, if you were doing a creation plan, DEP is saying that if you're going to start with your closure plan, the 2 things need to go hand in hand, so you don't get ahead of them. In this case, it's a weird case because we're doing the preservation, and so as soon as you get that sign off from Green Acres, you have your permit, you're ready to go, because you haven't filled all the wetlands. There's still about a half an acre that I guess you found some materials and needs to be filled. This permit covers all of it, what's been done and what needs to be done, and you're done.
Okay, so then it's up to us to fill in that last percentage or 2, whatever that is, to fill it
Right.
in, and then that's, okay, that'll handle the landfill, that's been around for, what, 25, 30, whatever that is, longer even.
And DEP's gone out of your,
gone. Okay.
well, in that respect.
In that respect.
So
Okay, so-
we're on the 1 yard line.
We are. I mean, the resolution is the main thing we need to submit. It took us a while, but Jim and I finally have someone at DEP who's Green Acres, who's really been great and responsive and is moving this quickly because they understand that you want to get it going as soon as possible.
Okay, and that amount that we've settled on, these lots, they're not going to come back and say, oh, we needed one more, we need, this
Nope.
has been approved.
We're at, I think our number is 25 to 1, so we're not at the maximum, but we gave them a lot. And they've been happy.
Who determined the $1 million? Was that the cost equivalent of mitigating or remediating the 2.5 acres? Was that where that $1 million benchmark came up, where you had to then try to cobble all the land to get up to that value, or?
No, it has nothing to do with the value of the land. It's 2.75 acres now. You can either go to a mitigation bank, and there's someone who already has land, and you buy credits from that bank. And for 2.75 acres, when we went to the mitigation council, trust me, all the land banks, the wetland banks wanted your money, and they were willing to do deals. It still was going to cost you about $900,000.
Okay, so that's where that was determined.
And the other one is if you create wetlands, it's very time consuming, it's very expensive, and you have to monitor it for 5 years. And the plan that you had prepared would have probably cost you about that same number. So that has nothing to do with land value. It had totally to do with going those routes was going to cost a lot of money to get them implemented correctly.
Okay, Mayor, if I may, just to go back one step. So the main landfill, the one that started this, is that remediated? That's capped, that's remediated? There's no more work to be done on there?
I can't speak on that. I'm not involved.
And the question is, who is overseeing that? Is that under an LSRP oversight, or what division of DEP and/or what group is overseeing it? Because I'm afraid of reopeners after the fact. This is great. Let's get this 2.5 mitigated, transferred, and get the full, I want regulatory closure on the entire project. And I'm just afraid that I want to look back at whether there's regulatory reopeners because the standards changed, or in fact, I want just some confirmation that the actual landfill has been checked off, met, and satisfied the remedial action work plans and work that they were obligated to complete. That was one question. The other question was, and you don't know if it's under LSRP or what departmental.
I'm not
the
involved
cleanup
with the
itself.
landfill closure.
It's under solid waste with
Solid waste,
DEP.
okay.
And from what I understand, Laura, is that once we do mitigate and we close and we fill it in, that we're going through the DEP who come out and they'll observe and they'll eventually sign off that the landfill now is fully closed and we will get that.
So the
signed.
actual remedy to this is to fill in the 2.7, completion of the 2.7, fill it in. Is that going to be fenced or restricted?
No.
There's no more digging, there's no more sampling, there's no more
Once it's-
restoration.
Yeah, once it's
Just
capped.
filled
Yep, you're
and
done.
capped. So it's going to be filled and capped and closed out that way.
And some of it has already been filled in.
Most of it has been.
Yeah.
Most of it has been. It's,
So
we're
in
looking a
total-
little bit left, a little bit more.
It's 2.5 is left or a little smaller than that?
2.7.
No, 2.75, and I think you have a swale that has to be filled, because I guess you found more debris, and that swale is less than half an
So
acre.
where your firm's not handling the mitigation component, you're just doing all the permitting and processing. The actual remediation contractor, who is that?
CEP Renewables. The lease agreement is with CEP Renewables. In the lease agreement, it says that they would do the bulk of the actual physical filling in of the wetlands and assisting in closing. In fact, as I've stated several times, Laura services are paid for through escrow of CEP.
And remember, eco sciences is the gold standard of this.
Very familiar with Mark.
Okay,
I'm
good.
very familiar with Laura and a lot of other people in your
Oh, good.
firm.
Yeah.
Very familiar with them, so.
So just to be
Jen's got
clear,
a
the
question.
rest of it has been filled and approved and seen by the DEP?
Yes, I've seen a lot of documentation on the West Bank side was done, and we've gotten sign off. We're almost done, and then we bumped into that one area, and they did a stop everything.
So Jim, when you're saying CEP Renewables handling the remediation, they actually physically cap the landfill? Or does it still need to be done?
It still needs to be done because
Okay,
we're
so
waiting for the
that-
permit.
landfill, not the 2.7. I'm talking about the landfill. We're going to drop their
That's,
system on.
that's the landfill, the 2.7.
2.7?
It is,
2.7.
it is part of the landfill.
That's what's left.
It's there.
2.75 acres.
Yeah, that's what's left.
That's
It
what I
needs
understand.
to be kept.
That's what's left of the total of X. What is the total of
I
X?
don't know that.
It's roughly 18 acres, the
Okay,
landfill.
so this, make me do fuzzy math here at 8:30 at night. 15.7 acres, someone had done the remediation. Was that, I'm just trying to ask, was that handled by CEP and a consultant of which they did, or was it something the township had done?
Back then, because it was years ago, the township engineer of the time did it in coordination with DEP. Not that engine, not that one.
You have a shovel?
I-
How long ago was that,
I'm
Jim?
getting warmer, but I'm
2010.
not
But
getting
while,
hot here with the
Charlie
question.
Ryan and Eric Powell were both heavily involved when I was working with them. They were town engineers here, and we worked conjointly with DEP in the closure at the time. And
So early teens or even earlier, probably, right?
yeah,
2010, you said?
yeah, it was around that time. And
So I appreciate it, where I know I fired off a whole random list
There
of
was some I
questions.
couldn't
that you
answer,
were
and
out
I
in
was
the
like,
field.
this is the place to find out
This is
what.
terrific. You gave a great summary. It made a
Yeah,
lot
it
more
was-
clarity with me and speaking with the mayor as well a few days ago. This was some of our questions. I'm still a little bit hung up on the previous work, where and whatever type of, was the work done satisfactory to solid waste department? Check the box.
I've read
And I don't want
sign-offs
any
that it was.
reopeners. Once we get this done and we transfer, we get regulatory closure. I mean, that's the point, is let's get this done. Let's get the cleanup done and get ourselves
I think
think
you
that's the
get
plan.
full
liability.
closure once the mitigation.
That's the
Yep,
plan, right?
that's
Okay.
it.
Any questions?
You have a
Jen?
question back
I
there.
did.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, we're not taking
Oh,
more public
sorry.
questions, though. Sorry, Jen.
Yeah, Laura,
Block and lot, it's not Crownview. So that's why I'd like clarification, because the lot, block and
That's
lot
all.
is not Crownview Court. So I really want to know.
I think
what
it's near it.
plan-
You said adjacent to or near it,
You
right?
said,
It's not. Crownview Court is on the opposite side of West Mountain. The lot, block and lot, I believe, corresponds to the end of Millstone Court. So, I know, but the one. One by Crownview, one by Blue. So we didn't talk specifically, when you were describing the location, there was nothing about, because this directly, there is no buffer between the lot at the end of Millstone and the residential property. The flags from the survey are up against their fence. So there is no buffer.
Know about the trails?
I don't know. Wait, Laura, yeah.
Just clarifying the parcels that were referenced.
Yeah.
I
That's
think your
all.
explanation was incredible and very helpful and really gave
Mhm.
relief.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're clear about the property. I have additional.
No, this is fine, because I know where it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right, it's Millstone. I'm sorry. Crownview is the other one.
It's-
where we
yeah,
have
it's
the
on Pipple
parcel
Hill, yeah.
between. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I thought I wrote it down, so I got the two mixed up. and I
okay, no, I just wanted to clarify. 'cause
Yes,
I want to
you're
make sure
correct.
that everyone's talking apples.
Okay, thank you. So just to clarify, Laura, so that was just a nomenclature name in terms of what you spoke about. What's in the report, what's in the plans, what's in the resolution, that's all accurate?
Yes.
Just to confirm,
Yes,
okay.
these were my notes to kind of explain to you
okay.
wrong, where the sites were located. And I knew I had another road and it's not here, and I put the wrong road with the wrong site.
Thank you.
Apologize.
Thank you.
Laura, just a
No,
Wait,
sorry,
wait.
Mr. Murphy, we're not taking more questions from the audience. I'm sorry.
clarification on her word.
I still have a question, and
Wait,
I,
well, let's,
Question from the dais.
thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Ms. Nygaard, how many donations of land to mitigate wetland disturbance have you been involved in over the course of your career?
This is the first one,
The first one?
because it's not the general protocol from DEP. So usually you have to go through the mitigation blank. First, you have to go for on-site. Then you have to go to an approved mitigation bank. Then you need to go to a off-site creation in the same watershed. And then you can start looking at land preservation. But we had to discount all of those before we got here. And this is, and Green Acres, I mean, not Green Acres, the Wetland Mitigation Council, it was new for them too. And that's why they were very interested in what we were doing, and why they came out and did a site visit. And they were suitably impressed with our choices. And that's why we got this far.
But have you been involved in any way with where a town donates land to either the DEP or New Jersey Land Trust? Meaning you help advise either the township or someone about, here's land we're going to donate, and then it gets turned over to the DEP and New Jersey Land Trust. Have you ever done that?
I have been involved with a site where we took a private piece of property, did wetland creation, and then turned it over.
Okay.
But not do it directly this way, no.
Okay. Got it. I mean, are you generally familiar with either the New Jersey Land Trust as a subset of DEP or DEP itself, where it is now taking ownership of, either land that's been donated or land that's supposed to be preserved given its habitat, and familiar with whether they preserve it or not? Are you familiar with that?
If you're asking if you preserve land or you give land to one of these agencies, that you have any say in how they manage it, that is going to be something that they do in-house. And you have to understand, they're managing it for a reason, and I'm not here to defend them or say anything, but there are times you must manage land. I'm not saying I'm supporting Stop the Chop. I think that was kind of a fallacy, trying to create habitat for species we no longer had in these locations. In these cases, though, I don't think you're going to get any of that. The Weldon Brook parcel is currently accessed by 2 trails that are heavily used, recreation areas, and I don't see them coming in and disturbing that. This is my opinions. I don't see a state park doing any kind of clearing. They manage for humans, but if they do anything, it's going to be to enhance the habitat for someone to go hiking. And the Natural Lands Trust, as I said, who might have to do management, it is very specific to the species that they're trying to preserve. So if you're trying to preserve a bog turtle, you can't have it succeed to forest. And if you're trying to preserve Indiana and northern long-eared bats, you can't clear cut.
So any disturbance, let's put that in quotes, that the New Jersey Land Trust would do to the land would be actually in further effort to preserve the property for its wildlife habitat, not to disturb it
Exactly.
to sell, some flower that may be in the,
No. They focus very much on threatened and endangered species and ecosystems. And what they're trying to do is, if they're going to cut something down, it's going to be invasives that have infiltrated the area. And if you've gone for any hikes in our woods, that's half of what we have left these days. And those things are really difficult for our wildlife and plant species to deal with. So that's the only type of management they will do. And I will say, there's very little of it done because they don't have the staff either. But you will not see any kind of wholesale clearing. I
And
feel very comfortable saying that.
Okay, and this is probably for Manager Zepp. For property that we own that is on, natural habitat, do we, the township, go in and try to, as the New Jersey Land Trust is going to do, and try to preserve the habitat, make sure invasive species isn't there? Do we take on that obligation right now?
No.
Okay, so if we turn it over, so we don't do that now. We give it to the New Jersey Land Trust, am I right? They'll start doing what we haven't been doing, which is making sure that land stays preserved and the wildlife stays vital. So it actually, if it has a better preserving effect than we're currently under. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Great.
Any other questions?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, great discussion.
Thank you
Ms.
very
Newgard,
much.
thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote on 8-9. All in favor of Resolution 8-9, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Resolution 8-9 has passed. Congratulations.
Yay.
A long, long journey, so thank you for those who have been involved
Thank
so,
you.
so much.
Thank you, council.
Okay, moving on to Resolution 8-10.
Picture this.
Smile. Jenny, we should get you
Yay, you
asking
should get you
questions
with
about
it.
it. Okay, 8-10, a resolution authorizing the displaying of commemorative flag on township-owned flagpoles. This is for the official flag of the city of Sparta in Greece. So may I have a motion to approve 8-10?
When is that? So moved?
A second.
Second.
Okay, so this is, as many of you know, Sparta, Greece, and many towns and municipalities around the world are linked up in a kind of network, and that's been like that for a while. And in fact, there's a resolution dating back, I believe, to 1974. I don't have it in front of me. 1969, that Sparta Township here and Sparta, Greece were linked up as sister cities and have shared information and their relationship over the years. This has accelerated a few years ago, and this today is a resolution to fly the flag of Sparta, Greece for 4 days at the end of August as a recognition of the anniversary of the 1969 partnership. The resolution also goes on to ask that Sparta, Greece flies our flag at the same time, which is August 27th to the 31st of 2026. And also that they recognize our sister city twinning on their municipal website. So it's a goodwill venture, and we're trying to keep connected with other towns and municipalities, entities in the U.S. called Sparta, and also with Sparta, Greece. So this is a resolution to fly the flag, as other ones have flown on the same pole down below the other flags on those 4 days. Any comments or questions?
No.
Okay, all in favor of Resolution 810, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Resolution 810 has passed. I'm glad, or else we'd have to change our name. So okay, Resolution 811. Resolution appointing municipal clerk Roxanne Landy as interim township manager. May I have a motion to approve 811, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
Any questions or comments?
Just one question. Mr. Dash, I just wanted to get clarification that it's not about the person, it's about the process that, how we got here with the interim position. I just wanted to make sure that the procedures, that the process under the procedures that we initiated, we went through, were in fact the proper approach or procedures to do this, number one, or were there any other alternatives? We talked about this offline.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it on the record to give some assurances or some clarification to it. So if you wouldn't mind, speak to that.
Sure. The council spoke among each other, communicated on the process with each other, followed the precedent that the town has been following, the unwritten precedent in terms of hiring, or I should say appointing an interim manager. And there was discussion by and between council members on that decision that culminates in the decision today, the resolution today.
Okay, so you're comfortable with the way it was handled?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, Roxanne, by the way.
Congratulations. Excellent.
Of course.
Congratulations.
All right, all in favor of appointing Roxanne as our interim township manager, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Okay. Thank you, Roxanne. And lastly, Resolution 812, a resolution of the Township of Sparta authorizing the award of an agreement to Phoenix Consulting Group LLC for executive search services for township manager for the amount not to exceed $15,500. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Okay, we'll take Margie for the motion.
Okay.
Mark, your second? Okay. And any questions or comments? Okay. All in favor of Resolution 812, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, Resolution 812 has been approved. Okay, now we're moving on to our second open to the public segment for tonight. This is for items not on the agenda. Please state and spell your name for the record, and each speaker is limited to one comment of no more than 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow residents. Kenneth Collins, Collins, Andover Township. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. Those words are just as relevant today as they were nearly 300 years ago. When Sparta approved flock safety cameras, many people believed they were simply approving a modern tool to help local police. But today we know much more than we did then. Across the country, communities are reconsidering these systems because of growing concerns about mass surveillance, data sharing, transparency, accountability, misuse of access, and the role private companies play in collecting and managing sensitive information about the public. Perhaps the most important development here in Sparta is that a former mayor has personally acknowledged to me that he regrets voting to approve the flock system. He said he misunderstood what the council was voting on at the time. He believed it was simply replacing the license plate readers already installed in patrol vehicles. And today he says he would not vote for the flock cameras. And he made this remarkable statement to me, in quotes. In no way was the council informed of this being part of a private, for-profit data collection network. Whether you supported the cameras originally or not, that statement should give every member of this council pause. If elected officials believed they were approving one thing, but later discovered they had approved something substantially different, then the public deserves a fresh conversation based on complete information, not assumptions made years ago. This debate is not about whether we support law enforcement. We do. Our police officers have solved crimes for generations without relying on a privately operated network of fixed cameras that continuously records the movements of ordinary motorists going in and out of their own driveways, and Sparta's police department's reputation reflects that. Supporting law enforcement and protecting civil liberties are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they go hand in hand. The question is whether Sparta needs to remain part of a private for-profit surveillance network when there are other investigative tools available that do not collect information on every vehicle passing through our community. Technology changes, contracts change, corporate policies change, but once a surveillance system is established, history teaches us that it rarely shrinks on its own. Surveillance has a tendency to expand unless elected officials deliberately establish clear limits. Communities throughout the country are asking hard questions about these systems. They're questioning who has access to the data, how it's shared, how long it's retained, what safeguards exist against misuse, and whether the long-term consequences for privacy outweigh the benefits. Those are reasonable questions, and they deserve honest public discussion. That is why I have drafted a proposed ordinance to prohibit the use of fixed automated license plate reader systems such as Flock Safety in Sparta Township. I emailed a copy of that proposed ordinance to every member of this council for your consideration prior to this meeting. The ordinance is intended to provide a constructive path forward. It recognizes the importance of public safety while establishing a policy that fixed, privately networked license plate reader systems are not the right fit for Sparta. If adopted, it would direct the township to discontinue participation in these systems while preserving the ability of law enforcement to use lawful investigative techniques that respect both public safety and constitutional liberties. I respectfully ask each of you to review that ordinance carefully, discuss it publicly, and consider introducing it for formal consideration. Even if you ultimately wish to amend portions of it, I hope it serves as the beginning of an open conversation about the future of surveillance in our community. Tonight, I ask this council to do what good government should always do: reconsider a decision when significant new information comes to light. Listen to the residents. Listen to those who now regret supporting the cameras. Listen to those who believe that constitutional rights deserve the benefit of the doubt. Leadership is not about defending every decision that has already been made. Leadership is having the courage to admit when circumstances have changed, to listen to the public, and to choose a better path. If you agree that Sparta should end its contract with Flock Safety, residents can sign the petition at change.org/ban-Sparta-Flock. You can also join the community campaign at facebook.com/ban-Sparta-NJ, where residents are organizing a peaceful boycott of Sparta until the township ends its participation in the Flock camera network. And if you'd like to work with residents throughout the region on this issue, please join the DFlock Sussex County Facebook group. This conversation is not going away. I respectfully urge you to review the ordinance I've submitted and end your contract with Flock, remove the cameras, and demonstrate that you're willing to place privacy and freedom of your citizens first. Thank you.
Thank you. Would like to add a note onto this. Mr. Collins, after you had emailed all of us with your comments about your conversation with the previous mayor and councilman, I reached out to him to ask for clarification, and he did confirm that he made it clear in no way that he believed that the chief or anyone else misrepresented the program to him, and it was not a deception or a bait and switch. It's just that now his understanding has changed. And he did add that he trusts our own police department implicitly in their handling of this data and this facility, and that, in fact, he was just admitting that his viewpoint has changed. He's regretting his vote at that time. Now he has more information. So just wanted to clarify that, to get that out there. I reserve comments for new business about Flock cameras myself.
Hello, Luke Gasper-Markle. We are in a day and age where change will be necessary for townships to continue to benefit and suit the townsfolk for who want to ensure Sparta's prosperity. I do not believe we are taking the right path in which everyone will benefit. While the Flock cameras are a serious decision, we need to focus on how we further prevent these situations from arising. While we do need development, it very much depends on how and on how it's done and why. I do believe that there are ways that we can make this town better. I don't support a lot of hyper-industrialization that we're seeing around our town and other towns. We have the warehouses, we have data centers, we have Flock cameras. We need to find ways to get more income into this community to allow people to prosper. And I'm worried about the decisions that the town council is doing currently. So I hope you will consider what I'm saying and decide what you think is best.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking us. My name is Jared Shirello. I'm here speaking hopefully to build on the conversation that Collins and Mr. Gasper-Markle have touched on so far. I'd like to say that I feel like there's a false choice and a false premise that's being put forth in this conversation, where there seems to be this, are we going to have a Flock system or are we going to have a system from the Stone Age? And I believe that is a false choice. The Flock system is basically a cloud service, And quite frankly, especially with the way things are modernizing, there's no reason why we couldn't be able to run that in-house and run that services on our own computers. There are a lot of risks with having a mass surveillance and a massive contractor. I know many people on this dais are very familiar with when a town does not change or when a loophole is open or a new problem opens itself up, that a large contractor will step in and offer a solution that appears to just be benign, but there is a selfish benefit to the contractor that is within the fine print here. And I think that it should be kind of inherently obvious that a mass surveillance network of where every citizen is at all times and where their daily habits and traffic are has many fears and flaws. Not only that, but simply from a cost-benefit analysis, there's risks with having our security systems shared with a larger network that would be the target of many other people seeking to profit or attack even the U.S. as a larger network, but you get the point. And also simply the fact that from a cost-benefit analysis of once we are dependent on this Flock system, and once every town is dependent on the Flock system, well, this is a for-profit company. They're going to do what Uber and Netflix did. They're going to cook up the price, and we're going to be the frog in the pot while the costs get higher and higher. I do believe that this is the start of a new conversation. I don't believe that this is a movement that is pro this, anti this. I think this is a new conversation. How are we going to modernize our surveillance and security system? That's a very valid question. We've been asking it for a long time, as Benjamin Franklin has been dealing with this, and I think that quote will live forever. We have had a constitution that has preserved our rights as technology has developed and as privacy laws have modernized and changed, and they've been threatened and they've been modernized and they've been, you get the point. I don't want to repeat myself, but the point is we have options available. We can have our own cameras. We could look into it. We could potentially run this software. I've seen people run many of these advanced intelligence softwares on personal computers. I'm sure we could. I'm not an expert in this. I'll leave that to you. I thank you for considering us and for hearing this start of this new conversation. And I hope you will consider everything that's been said here previously.
Thank you.
Joanne Scally. Just want to welcome you back and congratulate you on interim manager. And I want to congratulate you on your retirement, even though it wasn't your own terms. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. On the Flock cameras, I see a lot of information that's false. And I believe the rewards outdo the risk of the cameras. I've read many stories where children were returned to their parents because of Flock camera. I read where seniors get lost and they were found because of Flock cameras. I read about cars being stolen, returned because of Flock cameras. The persons were arrested. I read about homes being burglarized. That happens a lot in Sparta. And I believe that all the Flock cameras are on the exits to Sparta so that they can see where these cars are, where people are. And it does outweigh it. And I believe a lot of falsehoods, like I said, are going on. I know Mr. Collins was called out on one of his things that were wrong about things that happened in Warden, New Jersey, a dispensary, and he still didn't apologize or remove that post, even though he was called out on, and there's posts showing that the ordinance for Warden. So I wish you would keep the Flock cameras. They do a lot of good. And like I said, it outweighs the risks. Thank you.
Hi, Jenny Derricks, tap into Sparta. I'm following up of two things. Reevaluation of town. We're supposed to have a reeval. Are we going to do, is that in the works, or do we have to?
It will be in the works. I'll probably be making an announcement in August on that.
Okay.
But you're correct. The county has directed us to, conduct a reevaluation.
Do you anticipate doing it on a rolling basis, or do you expect to do the whole thing, or should I just wait till August?
Yeah, it's a pretty good chance that that is going to happen, but it's going to be a council decision when all the information is presented.
Thank you. And then just following up also on 809 West Mountain, do we have has the town taken any further steps? It's been almost 2 years that they've been required to have permits that still haven't been applied for, at least as my last OPA request from last month. Has there been any movement on the town to work to reinforce that?
My engineer's been sitting patiently here for that exact question.
Okay.
So-
Jen, do you want to finish and then?
Yeah, it's just because I have been, I've had a couple people in the town reach out about having been recently fined for smaller infractions on their property. Not to say that any infraction shouldn't be met with the proper enforcement, but to have this egregious one hanging open for 2 years really doesn't seem fair. So, thank you.
Thank you. Corey, the mic's yours.
Okay, this is the 809 West Mountain Road ongoing saga. I guess the short answer is we still have not received the permit applications from the landowners. They had an LSRP, do a report on their on the quality of the soil fill that was brought to the site. The LSRP report illustrated that the soil was clean. There is a DEP notice or DEP case open right now. That information is being reviewed by the DEP. They've asked for additional information because there was some milling material that was on the surface and was mixed in. So they've asked for additional information regarding that issue. That's not really the township issue that Ms. Derrick is asking about, but that is in the background. We've been told every month that we're getting the applications coming in for the soil. The only application we truly have right now is a soil fill application that is due to the township. There's a soil conservation district approval that is required as well from Upper Delaware. We've started the process because we have not seen that. We turn it over to the Sparta Code Enforcement Officer. He's in a process of preparing new notices to the property owner and move that forward. We tried to do it with the property owner, working with them to get us the soil testing and the permit applications, but we have not received it. So working with Jim, we decided to turn it over to the code enforcement officer, and he's working on that now.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Corey, can you explain that? Are we talking about that soil being removed or a permit to add to that soil?
Not to add to it, but they have to provide what their use is going to be for that area. Yeah. They brought the soil in. There's not, my opinion right now, so far from the information I've received, that they haven't shown that there's nothing shown that the soil is contaminated other than the millings that are on the surface. They possibly could leave the soil there, but it has to be stabilized. It's got to have the proper soil stabilization. Upper Delaware, it's got to approve a permit for it. And we're actually, before we close this out, whatever that it looks like in the future, we want the DEP to give their final notification. Now, the DEP, last month, they provided a letter to the property owner stating that they had received a copy of the LSRP report, and they had some objection to the report because it did not address the millings that were on the soil. I believe the millings have to do with the fact that once they brought the fill in, they put a layer of millings on top, and they haven't properly addressed that. So that issue is still open as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, I don't want to get into a big Q&A with
I
Corey
just-
on a private thing, but
No, I just want to know, is there a statute of how far down they have to test? How many inches, feet?
I was
And how
present.
many places?
I was present. I had another representative in my office when they did do the testing. They dug through the whole entire pile down to the existing ground. So in some, depending on, it's on the side of a hill slope, some are, several feet, some are over 10, 12 feet, deep. So they went down through all the material.
But like in several different places?
At 10 different test holes that were created.
There were only 9.
Okay.
Yeah, there was 10 that were laid out.
The property manager, the property owner
Okay.
dug the holes, and the day before.
Okay, I don't want to get into a whole trial here, folks, sorry.
Thank you.
The facts are good, and, we
There
can,
was-
we can handle offline, we're happy to talk offline, but it's,
There was 9 of them, the 10th one, the machine broke down.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It is a private matter. Thank you. Okay, seeing none, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program, to number 10. So now let's do some council liaison updates. I'll start at my far right, Councilman Clark.
Can I make one more comment, though, about public comment? I understand that people are understandably upset about these flock cameras, but to stand or to grandstand and put on social media that people should be banning private businesses in Sparta is not appropriate. We had an intelligent and a brief conversation here. There's no need to penalize the businesses of Sparta to promote your thesis statement. And I think that we should all talk about this issue. But there's no reason to penalize the businesses of Sparta.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Clark?
Council liaison updates. We had to move the meeting with the Board of Ed, I think probably given the weather and other things. So I think Mike, we're gonna probably figure out a time to meet again at some point. And we have a meeting of the Trails Committee tomorrow. The Beautification Committee, we had to move the meeting, so I haven't had that one yet. Rec is not meeting until the fall, and the beautification will meet probably in the next week or so. So I really haven't had many meetings in July, given everyone's committee members' travel schedules, et cetera. So that's all I have. Oh, no, I do have an update with respect to the movie group. One is, people may recall, I guess now it's almost 2 summers ago, there was filming done in Sparta by, and it was led by folks in the film committee. And thankfully, the owners of Burger and Butcher were helpful, the police were helpful, and, we did some shots at Station Park. So that was to create what's called a reel. A reel is what you do, and you have like a short that you use to then try to entice streaming platforms or movie studios to then bankroll a series. And so they finally finished the post-production in that, and they are having an opening at the Barrymore Theater in Manhattan for that series in probably about 2 weeks or so. And then I know I've spoken with some of the members of the committee. The idea is to then have an opening here in Sparta so residents can see, because obviously people don't want to schlep all the way to the Barrymore Theater in New York. But the fact that the Barrymore Theater wants to screen this particular production, just kudos to our members of that committee who put that together and did a lot of work. And again, that was done almost exclusively by either Sparta residents or Sussex County residents, from, the grips to the camera person to the script editor, et cetera. It was all kind of local people, so kudos to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Rev 250, we've not had a meeting for July. Senior Advisory, we've not had a meeting for July. And we'll resume hopefully again next month. And Lake Mohawk, the North Shore and West Shore Trail closures have not been decided the dates yet. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I'll just speak about the master plan subcommittee. The early July meeting was canceled, but we've collected dates to accelerate that process and meet more than once a month. There's a meeting scheduled for tomorrow night, actually, and then we're going to be filling in more as we go to keep the process going in the midst of summer, calendaring and vacationing schedules. More to come on that.
All right. Yeah, just real quick, the update from the last planning board. The planning board voted to have their attorney draft up an ordinance to establish a historic zone for Lake Mohawk Country Club specifically. The planning board will review and approve, either hand over to the master planning subcommittee or send it to council as recommendation for council's consideration. And just to make note, hopefully our video and audio, we were having video audio problems that night. So I just wanted to, give an update of what happened at last meeting. I'm glad we're not having any glitches tonight. So, and just real quick, I attended the mushball game. I went down to the fields the other day, attended the mushball game and the concert. Terrific. It was fantastic. The mushball games were very competitive. VFW was playing, so I was rooting for those guys. And the concert was really well attended and really enjoyable to hang out and watch. So good job pulling that together. So that's all.
Okay, the Business Development Committee did not meet this past month. This weekend, as Chief Bukarik has said, this weekend is the 12th annual Changing the Face of Addiction Walk. It's in Franklin at 9 a.m. If you'd like additional information, we'll be posting that on the website. I will be there. There'll be food trucks, there'll be games, and there'll be a 1 mile casual walk to show our support against addiction. Against addiction? I think, you know what I mean. Thanks.
Mark, can you do your microphone?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
For the BDC, for Mike and Mark, is there other things going on? I know the website was underway. Are there other initiatives or projects that are happening with BDC?
The purchase orders in the finance department for the BDC website.
Yeah.
Oh,
but-
good.
Just waiting.
Good.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides the website, are there other things that the committee is?
Right, we have
Ideas,
been trying to bring
proposals?
on new committee members. I think 1 or 2 other people have volunteered since and wanted to get involved, so that's good, but not much. No.
We're in discussions to put together meet and greets out at industry for the small businesses in town. And we're working on that. We'll have announcements in the next month or so. Thank you.
We're kind of in summer mode.
Okay,
right now.
okay. I just know the sooner the better with attracting, fostering the business community. Okay, let's start with unfinished and new business. As a reminder, this is specifically intended for council business, for unfinished council business, new business, that discussions, considerations, future follow-ups. Okay, Councilman?
I'm going to pass, but reserve the right to come back.
Okay. Mayor?
I'm going to pass and reserve the right to come back.
Guys.
No, I'm good.
What's going on here? All right. Okay, I have a few items. One is, I'd like to recognize a student for a community service project that he completed not too long ago. It came to my attention, and I just wanted to acknowledge and publicly highlight the impressive accomplishments of this young man, a local student, Drew Shapolsky. Drew is a junior at Pope John, and he recently collected more than 200 pieces of baseball equipment with an estimated value of almost $13,000 for children in underserved communities who might not otherwise have access to the sport. Over the course of the school year, Drew worked with local baseball facilities and members of the county community here in Sussex County to organize collection sites, encourage families to donate equipment for that their kids had outgrown. And the equipment was donated to an organization called Pitch In for Baseball and Softball. It's a nonprofit. They provide baseball and softball equipment to youth in need. And baseball has taught Drew teamwork, perseverance, responsibility, and resilience. And he wanted to provide that to other people and give them the opportunity to appreciate the same lessons that he had learned in his life from sport. So there's been a couple articles on him, so you might have seen that already in the news. But it's always heartwarming to hear stories about young people who are focused on not themselves, but enriching lives of others, and especially maybe people who don't have opportunities that he has and had. So I just hope his impressive community service project encourages other young people now, maybe next year, start thinking about their community service, just to do more and to get involved and think of others. And I wanted to thank Rob Fuchs from an organization called Stand Out for College for bringing this to my attention and getting in touch with me to share Drew's achievement. So I just want to congratulate him publicly. Second is I wanted to share a comment or two on flock cameras and have some questions, and I'd like to learn more about access and sharing to our data. And first, to be clear, I totally trust our own police department, our employees. This is more about the overall principle and about the broader potential use of our data and about the vendor itself. So I feel we just need to gather a little bit more facts in order to provide intelligent answers and make prudent decisions and make sure we're on the right course. I'm not implying that we're not, but we need the information to know that. So I do have some questions I put together, I've shared with council, and we'll be looking into these to get some answers. Around sharing, there are things like, what's our sharing policy and what's our setting right now? Because different users and clients, municipalities can have different sharing settings. Who sets the policy for sharing in Sparta? Can our data be accessed by other jurisdictions, nationwide databases, other clients of Flock? And believe me, it's not just Flock. We have Flock here, but there's probably almost a dozen other companies like Flock. So if sharing is permissible, what's the policy around that? What cases is it allowed? And are there parameters and limits on those others who might be accessing our data? And then around access itself, who has access? We've heard some of this before from the chief in other meetings, but I think we need to kind of have a holistic look at this. Does the data stored by Flock belong exclusively to us? Is it our data? And what's the retention policy, the deletion policy? I think we have some answers, but I just would like to get a holistic view on this. And then finally, around the guardrails. I know there's audits, things like that in place to prevent inappropriate outside use. So I think we just want to, I know some others do, just want to gather some more information.
Would you like some of those answers now?
Why don't we hold off and we can come back to the public and. When we
I have
can
them all
gather
for you,
those.
so let me know.
If you'd like to. Sure.
So, sharing policy, all the data that these cameras on Flock, just so everybody understands, Flock is just one vendor. There's several different vendors out there. Flock is the vendor that we chose. The data that comes in is owned by us. It's not owned by the vendor. They do not have access to it. Municipalities or police departments within New Jersey do have access to the reads that Flock has to provide through New Jersey State Police backtrace system. Okay, so that information is searched through backtrace. The safeguards on that are training. Anybody who uses that system has to have several different trainings. I believe there's 3 right off the bat. There has to be policy. And obviously the Attorney General's directive, I believe is 2022-12, which gives a real, if anybody wants to look at the policy on Alpars, the directive from the Attorney General, it really gives a good synopsis of everything. Retention period is 3 years. That was moved in 2022 from 5 years to 3 years. And then the data has to be discontinued. What other questions do you have? I'm sorry.
Do we have, so our setting for our town, if I could just.
We don't share
Differently, yeah.
with,
So we
so
allow
we
it
don't
to be
share
shared
that
with law
data
enforcement?
with jurisdictions outside of New Jersey.
Okay.
If there is a request, we can, but it has to be for a legitimate law enforcement purpose, and we would provide that data to them. But we would not give them access to our system itself.
Okay. So if they contact us because they're investigating a certain crime or certain case and they believe this data is critical to that case, then we can, on a case-by-case basis, grant access to that data.
Correct. And sometimes jurisdictions outside of the state will provide us with a subpoena for that information too.
Okay. So Flock itself does not have access to our data.
No,
Okay, so that therefore means they're not
Block stores our data.
selling it, they're not marketing it some other way, they're not leveraging it in any way. Okay, they're just storing it. And for us to use it, I think you, Chief, you said this in the past. Again, it's not, people shouldn't be worried about browsing the data. It's when there's a specific case or something that you have a number for that you're going in specifically to access our data for. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have to, if we're going to access the data, you have to provide a case number. Case number has to be for a legitimate law enforcement purpose to access that data. And then with some of the safeguards, you're talking about audits. So there's annual audits done by our department, by the prosecutor's office, county prosecutor's office, and also by the state. Every department who would have these type of devices have to have a coordinator. And there's also a county coordinator and a state coordinator. They're the ones who conduct the audits.
Okay. And just to be clear, within our township, the only people that have access to it are in your department.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
And that's only officers that are trained. Obviously, everybody has to review the policy no matter what. But any officer has to go through all the training that is set forth in the AG directive.
Okay. And another question that came up was, how often is it used? How many criminal cases have Sparta's cameras been used for?
I couldn't tell you that offhand. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, can you estimate? Is it
No,
single digit?
I can't estimate.
Dozens?
No.
Okay, that was what I had on my list for the ones that I compiled. I'm not sure if others, while we're on the topic, have any ones for now. Any questions about the cameras for tonight?
I mean, I have a comment about it, but I don't have I think Chief McCarrick was very indulgent with his time over his vacation to answer a lot of the questions that you had, that I had. So I don't.
I really would refer, if to anybody, to read the AG, Attorney General's Directive 2022-12.
Okay.
Yeah, 2022-12.
Okay, and that's publicly available if folks want to go on there and find it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And if anybody has questions, they could contact me via email.
Okay.
jmccarrick@spartapd.org.
Okay, appreciate it, Chief. Thank you. I wasn't expecting you to answer tonight, so appreciate your flexibility.
I'm well-versed in this. Take great pride in public safety in our town. These cameras are used for public safety purposes, and that's it.
Okay.
Mayor, I just want to add, I think I heard during the public comment period a statement that I just want to correct. I heard that, the quote, homes are burglarized a lot in Sparta. I think the chief would agree with me that that's not an accurate statement. In fact, we have some of the lowest burglary rates in the state.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my last piece of unfinished business is a couple of points of clarification. Over the last few weeks, or almost a month now, I've received several questions about the final budget that was passed at our last meeting, and a couple misperceptions that need to be clarified. So for two items. One is, been asked a number of times, surplus. And we went through this last time. What was the size of the surplus or the reserves at the end of 2025 coming into 2026? And the answer is just under 2.5 million. To be exact, 2,462,523.98. So I've been asked a lot of times. I don't know why it keeps coming up. So let's put that to bed. That's the facts. All right, just under 2.5 million coming into 2026. Second topic, how long was the period of time from when the council and when everybody started working on the budget, when all the council members provided input and could impact the budget and talk about tax increases and all that? Okay, well, the working session was on Saturday, March 7th. And then the council members had over 3.5 months to make their impact, contribute, fine tune, and get to the meeting we had at the end of June. So I've been asked that a few times, like, what's happening with the time frame? Did people have a chance to input? So I wanted to get that out there and just clarify that. And that's all I have for new business, unfinished business. Councilwoman?
I have nothing
Councilman?
to add.
Sure. Since you brought up the flock hammers, I wanted to say that I'm not unsympathetic to your cause here. I understand what, the concern is, not with respect to our law enforcement using it proper. I completely trust they will. For-profit companies, yeah, I've dedicated my entire professional career going after corporations for all matter and sundry of fraud and antitrust abuse and everything. So I'm dubious at best. So I approach that issue with that kind of view, right? And so that's why I had a lot of conversations about what Flock could do with the data. And I found out, well, wait a minute, they don't even own the data. We own it. They're not an authorized user. And so if they were to take and somehow use our data for their own proprietary purposes, it'd be a breach of the contract. And probably that would be my first phone call would be probably to Anand and say, I think we have a very good class action here on behalf of municipalities who use Flock and they're now using the data for their own proprietary purposes. And so far as I know, and based on my research, that hasn't happened yet. And so I feel like in this situation, I feel a lot the way Judge Davis did in Northern District of Virginia, who had the case, the constitutional case involving Flock cameras and Alpar. And in that case, he specifically said they found that they were constitutional. And he said, federal and state courts analyzing Alpar claims have almost uniformly concluded that neither taking photos of the license plate of a vehicle on a public roadway nor maintaining and querying a database of Alpar photos constitutes a warrantless search. And so, but there's a caveat there, and the judge made the caveat, which is where that line is, we don't know yet, right? We don't know. For the facts that were presented to that court there wasn't a constitutional violation. And I feel like we're in that same situation here, which I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing Flock having used our data inappropriately. I'm not seeing our law enforcement using it inappropriately. The safeguards, I read through the entire Attorney General law enforcement directive on this. There's very specific guidelines on even how you can do searches on here. You can't just randomly do searches just because you feel like it. I mean, there has to be, when it's non-alert data, there has to be a BOLO query, there has to either a crime scene or crime trend analysis. It's very limited in what you do. And then another follow-up I did is, I said, well, have there been any kind of motions to suppress, right? This is what happens if you gather evidence that you got by a violation of constitutional rights. What a defense attorney does, they try to suppress the evidence at trial. So what did I do? I called up, our Sussex County Prosecutor's Office and said, have you seen any motions to suppress related to evidence obtained via an Alpar? Not at all. And in fact, I don't think there's really any cases so far on that. And part of it is, my understanding is Alpar is just one little piece when you're trying to investigate and find out whether you have reasonable suspicion to stop someone or the crime is getting committed or trying to make out a probable cause warrant. There's a whole bunch of other things. And so I did, really kind of dig down in here to see if, there was evidence here that, Flock was using it inappropriately, or there's such an error rate with Alpar that people are getting stopped, indiscriminately. I don't think the chief is there. That hasn't happened in Sparta or anywhere else where they've gotten an Alpar hit and then they stopped someone and they shouldn't have stopped them. That hasn't happened. So we're just not there yet. And then when I take on one side, I haven't seen evidence of the improper use of this or an unconstitutional use compared with the good part I have seen. Kids getting found, robbery gangs being busted because of Alpar. It's a legitimate law enforcement. And until I see otherwise, where it's these abuses, and, look, if you look at Flock's business model, it really is based on subscription and getting people to sign up. I think that data does have probably some value if they were to sell it to corporations who may want to have that kind of information. Sure, that I think it does have value that way, but Flock can't do that. They're not allowed to do that. If they did, they're opening themselves up to a heck of a lot of liability risks. So I don't think that that militates toward them not doing it. But I get your concerns. I understand that. I just don't think we're there yet to a point where I need to go tell we need to tell the chief, hey, this legitimate law enforcement tool that has saved lives, stopped robberies, found missing children. You need to get rid of it. And so I just don't think we're there yet. So that's my kind of approach to this. But I do appreciate Ken and others for bringing this to attention. I do share that, hey, let's don't penalize small businesses in Sparta for something they have no control over. So I would encourage people to continue to go to these businesses who probably have cameras themselves, thankfully, because that can also be helpful in solving crimes. And then on to another, this is old business. I know that we had introduced a while, and I thought it was a decent idea, was the investigate before you legislate ordinance about, and it would pertain only to land use ordinances. And I didn't know where that was because I had made some suggestions, and one suggestion I made to that is, if we are going to do that, because this issue has come up here, it's come up in other townships, that if we were introducing a land use ordinance, which has been requested by a developer, that would be disclosed to the public before we introduce it. And so the public would know that a developer has asked for this, and we'd have to disclose that at the introduction of the ordinance. And part and parcel of that would also be a recommendation that if the township has signed any kind of non-disclosure agreement related to, say, a development that it would be affected by this introduced ordinance, we'd also have to disclose that. So those are some changes I made. I haven't seen if we're going to do anything with it, but I know it. I did recommend that. So I don't know if it's now on ice, but so I think, since we were talking about it and then it kind of went nowhere, what's the status of that one?
Well, Councilman Clark, I appreciate you bringing that up tonight, and I mean, I don't know if this is a place to put it out for a motion to vote on it, but I really appreciate you carrying the ball and trying to work it through our fellow council members here. And in light of all these recent discussions, time and time again, that type of approach would apply to some of the topics where we've been hearing and discussing. Whether it's the landfill, whether it's this, there's a lot of information gathering and pros and cons or alternative arguments or positions on things. And I think it's just a healthy way of opening up constructive dialogue. So I appreciate you bringing it up tonight.
Thanks, no problem. And I have no other new business or old existing business I can think of.
Good. Okay. With that being said, it's time to head home. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
And may I have a second?
Second.
All right, time is 9:35. Everyone, have a great night.